So this is not really a format so much. I mean, it is and it isn't. I mean, it's such a huge benefit or added value of advertising on mobile. The fact that you take it with you everywhere and look at it all the time, and that it has GPS built in, and now Google Maps pretty much owns everything in terms of finding your way different places, instructions, etc. Um, that what happens is, uh, okay, so you can reach people at the right place at the right time. We used to say that about out of home when it was put right before a retail store. But mobile can, place-based, location-based, can do the same thing in a different and at least as effective and probably more effective way. Loyalty frequency programs near retailers or restaurants, get somebody to buy something, and this little thing that's going to roll up here is going to say, if I could get it to do it, collect data, and there's an exclamation point on that because that's controversial. This gets into the privacy area here. We're going to talk about that in a second. So, definition is delivering content based on their person's geographic location, and that's how that works. And geofencing can be done by a retail establishment, working with Google Maps or otherwise, that can have an effect on the ads that are shown. And of course, a lot of the search on a mobile phone is going to be in conjunction with Google Maps, and it's finding restaurants and banks and things like that. And of course, we've got people. I did a search for tacos for some reason in Google Maps, and they did not, recommendations that were paid for did not come up based on proximity. They came up based on who was paying the most for the word taco in a geo search in a certain area. Okay. So these are some of the privacy issues. Here's one that ran a little earlier this year in February in the New York Times. Those of you who know me know I read the Times every morning, and the Times covers just about every important story that there is, in my opinion. So, near perfect surveillance by the government, this says, as if it attached an ankle monitor to the cell phone's user. This is 2018. Prevented the government from obtaining location data from cell phone towers without a warrant. Declined to grant the state unrestricted access to a wireless carrier's database of physical location information. That's in Carpenter versus United States. However, the Trump administration bought access to a commercial database that maps the movements of millions of cell phones and is using it for immigration and border enforcement. So, a location data company, they're collecting precise movements of all smartphone-owning Americans through their phone apps. Many apps, weather or coupon apps, gather and record location data without users understanding what the code is up to. You basically agree to let them do it many times. Something does often pop up, would you share your location data? And this is an attempt to make it less secret, which is good. Okay. Location data is available through numerous commercial ad exchanges. These are things that place the ads, serve the ads to mobile phones. Okay. Unregulated in the private sector. Multi-million-dollar advertising ecosystem has eagerly embraced it. Okay. Without a name, how many phones travel between? So you don't have a name. They say it's anonymous. This is what the Times found. But you can, by looking at different places that people travel, you can figure out who it is. Okay. Okay. All right. So location, anonymous location data being bought by the government as part of its kind of immigration tracking. And let's go back and let's take a look at this one. This one is more recent. This is for tracking coronavirus, whatever you call it. Come on, darn it. Building software into smartphones that would tell people if they were recently in contact with someone who was infected. How about that? Building it in the operating system of billions of iPhones and Android devices around the world. Constantly log other devices that come near, enabling what is known as contact tracing of the disease. You'd opt in to use the tool and voluntarily report if they became infected. How about that? Two companies whose software runs on almost every smartphone in the world. Apple and Google. Okay, so virtually almost all the smartphones on the planet, except in China, for instance, but okay. Raises privacy issues. Also respects transparency and consent. Okay, so there's that. And we can close that one. All based on location data. And this one's very similar from April 2nd. Hello, are you coming? There we go, I hope. Okay. Where America didn't stay home. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. This is also anonymous data, but I think we have some maps here to look at that I think are kind of interesting. Come on. Load. Okay. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Come on. God, I hate that. Ay, 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 ay. God, that's bad. Still loading. Sorry, here we go. Okay. All right, now what is this? Outline areas had known stay-at-home orders before March 27th. Okay, so this shows travel. Has a phone moved around a lot? We don't know whose phone it is, but whoever it is, how many phones are moving around a lot? No travel is the grayish areas. Closer to normal travel are the reddish areas. Okay, this was written April 2nd. This is the week of March 23rd. So compared with travel before the coronavirus outbreak. So you see California, well, most of it shut down. New York, very shut down. A lot of this mid-Atlantic region. But, okay, but look at the travel. Based on mobile phones movements. Okay, we look at that, and I think we have which counties traveled the most. Counties with stay-at-home orders, counties without stay-at-home orders. Change in distance traveled, less travel and more travel. So we've got more travel with the without stay-at-home orders. And this shows actual counties, okay? average amount of travel distance, and then days of the week, travel by day, less travel and more travel. So there's less travel. See, we're at counties above 500,000 people. You have less travel as we move forward there. Anyway, very, I think, interesting use of mobile GPS and location data. And of course, the issue is we need to be very careful about privacy with this. QR codes, also something that advertisers are making use of. And email. I don't think we're going to talk too much about email. Obviously, email is another factor on mobile phones, but as it is on desktops. But SMS is something particular to mobile phones because it uses the phone number to send a message rather than the email address. But it's very, I think, one of the most sensitive areas in terms of people not wanting to be bugged and interrupted and invaded with messaging. Much less cluttered than email inbox. It's a preferred method of communication for younger people. Did you guys know that? Really needs to be permission based. It needs to offer value. It's very cheap. This is a little article saying that SMS is the next big trend in 2019. A little blog I found. Text marketing trends to watch for this year. 98% read rate. 9 out of 10 consumers prefer to text with businesses, right? So customer service from businesses is moving from the phone, right, and phone calls to more texts. They text customer support reps, et cetera, et cetera. Although from our discussion on telemarketing, we know that the phone call is a more amiable, friendly, better impression. Okay. Growth across promotion, sales, and offers. But you have to opt in, right? And you're going to see that marketers will begin to leverage SMS for VIP programs, boosting brand loyalty. In other words, to their most valuable customers, you want to have a text relationship. Important point for all of us who are studying direct marketing. That moving from just sending emails out from Victoria's Secret every day or whatever the company is, Sephora, to having the customer opt in to get texts and then not barraging them with a bunch of stuff, but being very careful with the texts. That is a better customer relationship link and communication than just the email. An important point to make about what a mobile can do for customer relationship management. Transactional updates, your checking account's too low. Why don't you buy, overdraft protection? Okay, this talks about AI enhanced chatbots. This kind of bugs me. They're going to try to do more robots for that stuff. Okay, I'm just going to make a quick stop. Okay, trigger-based messages. This is event-driven communications. When you buy something, whatever, milestones. Okay. Okay, and then also more B2B SMS. B2B have been slower, but the idea of adapting some of the telemarketing to SMS is an interesting one to think about, just to apply to the telemarketing discussion we had. Okay, so